All right. Um, we got Saturday. We got some college football action going on right now, but I'm not really going to talk about that right now. Thursday night. Thursday night's game. Unfortunately, I missed the first drive, which ended up being the New York Giants' only touchdown of the game. I came into the house, I turned on the TV, and I literally, the first thing I saw was Eli spiking the ball, or doing whatever celebration he did. I can't even remember anymore. I think it was spiking the ball after he ran into the end zone. But beyond that, I did watch the whole game, and, it wasn't an overly impressive game by either side. It was a little bit boring. Defensively, I suppose it was pretty well played. You had a couple of sacks, a turnover, and a grand total of 23 points. So, both defenses have to feel they played pretty well. Especially the Redskins, they started off bad, but they found their groove as the game went along, had the interception, and stopped the Giants from getting any more touchdowns, forced a lot of punts. And New York obviously had a great defense. The one touchdown, the only points that they gave up were because of a special teams error and this ticky-tack penalty of face mask that went for 15 yards, which I didn't agree with at all. Um, so, Giants did win 16-7. So I'm 1-0 on picks to start the year. And, Washington, has to be concerned after last night with their clock management, which was awful down the stretch. I can't imagine what it felt like to be a Washington Redskin fan near the end of the game when you were down by 9 points and they kept calling runs and short passes. They only went deep like 2 or 3 times all game, I think. Um, you know, the Giants were getting good pressure, but they did only get one sack. So it's not like Campbell was under pressure, under intense pressure all game. I think that if they tried to go deep, they would have been able to. Um, so, you know, uh, that's definitely concerning because Washington looked really ugly on offense. And, Portis was the only Redskin I felt that looked like he was playing really well. The secondary was without Sean Springs, and Plexico ate them up. He had a huge game. Uh, Especially early. Early, there was like a receiver wide open on every play. You can tell they miss Springs, and they miss Sean Taylor. Rest in peace. Uh, the Giants had a really hard time taking advantage, and we had a game going into halftime. The Giants had completely outplayed Washington, and we still had a game. So the Giants have to be concerned about all those field goals and the conservative play calling and some, things they need to work on, but they did win. They did win. And, I guess that's about all there is to say. Neither team looked too impressive, but one team won, the other team lost. And for now, that's all that matters. So, tomorrow and the next day, we got a slate of games. Let's see. We got the Jets and the Dolphins. I'm really tempted to take Miami just because Chad Pennington knows the Jets so well, and he could pick them apart. However, you cannot underestimate how bad Miami was last year. Even last year, the Jets were awful. They swept Miami. I don't think Miami's improved that much. If anything, they could have gotten worse. They don't have Jason Taylor, who, by the way, did look ineffective in the game 2 days ago. Forgot to mention that. He did play, to my surprise, did not look good. They don't have Zach Thomas. And, they did add Chad Pennington, which I think is significant, but I don't think it's enough. And the Jets did so many different things to improve, and maybe they're not as good as a lot of people think they're going to be. Maybe they are still like a 6-win team. I'm going to take the Jets. That was tough, though. Okay, Seattle and Buffalo. This one's going to be tough, guys. I think Buffalo is going to be good this year. They haven't made the playoffs in the Bush administration, and this is going to be their last chance to do so. And I think they're starting to get things together. I don't like Trent Edwards as much as most people. I do like Marshawn Lynch a lot. I like their defense, namely because they know how to plug in these guys you've never heard of, like George Wilson, and get production out of them and play well. Like, They were really, really injured last year. They had so many injuries just everywhere on that team. I'm not even going to list them because there was just so many, and they still went, I think, 8-8, maybe 7-9, but they did good. They did surprisingly well. So, they're the kind of team that isn't too affected by injury simply because they know how to plug in their backups and third stringers and continue to play well, but still. They're a scrappy young team that knows how to force turnovers, get special teams and defensive touchdowns, and really sneak up on a team like they did last year against Dallas. I mean, they did not win that game, but that's a microism of what they're capable of doing. So, for us, I feel confident that we are, under normal circumstances, probably the better team. But it is on the road. We're not a great road team. And we do have, wide receiver injury issues. I don't know if Red Bryan is going to play. I think Engram and Branch are out. Locklear might not play. Of course, Buffalo looks like they might not have Paul Posluszny. They might not have Angelo Crowell. So, I do think Buffalo is going to be pretty good this year. I think they're going to give us a game, and I do think there's a very good chance they'll win. But I'm not going to pick against my team in the opener, so I'm going to sit with Seattle for right now. But, again, it's not a stretch for Buffalo to be second in their division and be in the wild card race. Even though the wild card race in the AFC is loaded, I am going to pick Seattle for now because, I do think we have a better defense and we have a better quarterback, and I think that can push us over the edge, but I think Buffalo is going to be pretty good this year. New England versus Kansas City. Of course, I got New England. I think people are thinking a little too hard about New England sometimes. I do like the Kansas City Chiefs draft, but it's not going to help them immediately. They did just trade away their best player for draft picks. And they could be, one of the bottom three teams this year pretty easily. So, of course, I got New England. I'd probably take them to beat their 17.5-point spread, too. Baltimore and Cincinnati. I don't know who's favored in this game. This is a tough one. I'm going to go with Cincinnati. They're away, so they should be the underdogs by about 3 points. I'm going to take them because Baltimore is starting Joe Flacco. Week 1, rookie quarterback. I don't know if I like it. And Cincinnati still does have a pretty good offense, even if they're not a very good team. I'm going to take Cincinnati. Next, I was tempted to take Houston over Pittsburgh, but I got to take Pittsburgh. They're at home. I still think they're the better team. I think Houston's a little bit of a paper champion this year. They could be pretty good, but I don't think they're better than Pittsburgh yet, and we'll see how good they actually are in the future, of course. Jacksonville and Tennessee. Very tempted to take Tennessee. I'm going to go with Jacksonville. I think they're the better team. I think they can win on the road. I think Vince Young still needs to sort himself out. I'm taking Jacksonville. Philadelphia has wide receiver injury issues. No Kevin Curtis, maybe no Reggie Brown, but I'm going to take him over St. Louis at home anyway. The Rams still look like a pretty poor team, so I'm going to go with Philadelphia here. Detroit versus Atlanta. Again, rookie quarterback, starting week 1. I don't like. Give me Detroit. I think they got a pretty good offense. Roy Williams and Calvin Johnson looked great in the preseason for the most part. The defense looked all right. And I cannot take a rookie-led team in week 1, even at home. So, Detroit. New Orleans and Tampa, very tough. I'm going to take the leap of faith and go with New Orleans. I think it would be safer to go with Tampa, but they're at home. It's week 1. They're looking for revenge for what happened last year against Tampa. I got New Orleans. Dallas versus Cleveland. Cleveland's pretty injured right now. Edwards, Winslow, Anderson, Lewis, they're all fighting minor injuries. They'll probably play, but I'm going to take Dallas. San Diego versus Carolina. Of course, I got San Diego winning big. Carolina, no Steve Smith, so I don't know how they're going to go offensively. And I think the San Diego run defense is enough to contain Williams and Stewart, no matter how good they looked in the preseason. Though I would be concerned about Merriman's status in this game. Arizona, San Francisco. Because Kurt Warner is starting, I will take the Cardinals to win on the road. I think Kurt Warner has what it takes to shred up San Francisco and take this one. If it was Leinart, I would probably take San Francisco, but Arizona it is. Indy and Chicago. Of course, I got Indy. Can't wait for this game. I think it's going to be a blast. Can't wait to see Peyton Manning back in the saddle. Indianapolis it is. I got Green Bay taking Minnesota out. I think Minnesota is really going to miss Bryant McKinney. I think they're a little overrated this year. they could start off really bad. They could start 0-4 pretty easily, especially without McKinney for the first 4 games. And finally, I'll take Denver over Oakland, just a gut feeling I have, and that's it from me.